Hi there YouTube friends, Auntie here. Welcome back to Auntie A's Kitchen. Today's video I'm excited to share with you as we are going to be making two popular chicken recipes. And what's wonderful about these recipes, they're made in very similar ways. In the first part of the video, we're going to be making together a chicken casserole and we're going to accompany this with some homemade English dumplings. And if you've never tasted or made English dumplings before, they're not only simple to make, but they are wonderful as they soak up the flavour from the casserole. In the second part of the video, we're going to be making a classic chicken noodle soup, and I'm going to show you how simple it is not only to make this from scratch, but that you can also take some of the leftovers from your casserole and transform it into a delicious chicken noodle soup. So thanks for watching, let's get cooking. In this first part of the video, we'll make the chicken casserole and homemade dumplings together. Start by cutting up an onion, a carrot, 2 celery sticks. I like to cut them quite big so that they don't disappear in the casserole as it cooks. Next, we will prepare our dumpling dough. Traditionally, they are made with suet, but I'm going to show you a very simple, delicious alternate way that you can make them. Into a bowl, measure out your flour. Then add cut up butter and rub the mixture between your fingers until it's well incorporated and it feels like sand. There are many ways that you can flavour your dumplings. Sometimes I choose to add cheese, as you can see in the top picture, or I might use spring onions, but today we'll add some chopped chives and don't forget to season with salt and pepper. I've also added 1 teaspoon of baking powder to make them extra fluffy. As usual, a list of the ingredients and all the measurements that I'm using today can be found in the description below the video. These drop dumplings really are simple to make, and as their name suggests, we're just going to drop spoons of dough into our casserole. Add just enough milk until your dough comes together. It's going to be quite a sticky dough, then cover it and set it aside until we're ready to use. Leeks are another favourite vegetable of mine, so I add them for colour and flavour. Typically in our casseroles we would predominantly add root vegetables like parsnip, turnips or potatoes, so if you have any of these, feel free to add them. I start with cooking some bacon, and you won't need to add any oil as it will cook in its own fat. It is an optional extra, but it adds a wonderful flavour. Once crispy, remove and then add your chicken. Chicken thighs are my favourite to use, but I had some chicken tenders hanging around, so I quickly brown these off, making sure to season with some salt and pepper. Once they have some colour, remove them from the heat. For those of you who live in Korea, I get this chicken stock from Home Plus and Emart. I add some boiling water to start it dissolving. Add some butter into your pan, then add your onions and leeks and cook these until they start to soften and pick up some colour. Then add the rest of your vegetables, and on a low to medium heat, stir your vegetables occasionally, and this would be a good time to add some garlic if you would like. To thicken our casserole, we'll add 2 spoons of flour, make sure to stir in well, then add your chicken and bacon back into your pot. It's important to cook out the flour to remove the raw taste, and this will also add a nutty flavour to your casserole. After a couple of minutes, you can then add your chicken stock into your casserole. I personally find a lot of the shop-bought chicken stock to be salty, so if you have some homemade chicken stock, then I recommend using this instead, and it will be a lot more healthy. To add some more flavour, add 2 bay leaves and a splash of Worcestershire sauce. Then season with some dried herbs. Today I use an Italian herb mix which I think includes some thyme, oregano and rosemary. As you bring your casserole up to a light simmer, have a taste and then season accordingly if needed. A quick tip is to dip your spoon into the casserole, and this will stop the dumpling dough sticking to the spoon. Then drop spoonfuls of your dumpling dough into your casserole, making sure to spread it out as they will expand while they're cooking. There are different ways that you can cook your dumpling. You can place the lid on your casserole and your dumplings will be soft and fluffy, but I personally like the combination of texture to have a nice crust on top of my dumpling and then soft and fluffy underneath. So I'll place this casserole into a preheated oven, 180°C, with the lid off for about 30 minutes until the dumplings are golden brown on top. All that's left to do is to serve up and enjoy a healthy, nutrient-packed, easy to make chicken casserole with homemade dumplings. It really is comfort food at its best. So in the second part of the video, let me show you how to make a classic chicken noodle soup, and we'll start by making the noodles. Empty a cup of flour and sprinkle some salt, make a well in the middle and crack 2 eggs into it. Then, using your fork, you're going to gently whisk up the eggs, pulling the flour from the outside in slowly until you have combined all of your mixture. As your dough starts to come together, you can knead with your hands for about 10 minutes. Because eggs are different sizes, you might find that your dough is over sticky. If it is, just add more flour. You will know when your dough is ready, as it will be soft to touch, and when you press with your finger, it should spring back. At this stage, wrap up your noodle dough in plastic wrap and then set aside for 30 minutes. There are many different ways to cook your chicken ready for your noodle soup. You could poach it, oven bake it, or as I'm doing today, quickly brown it off in a pan. Once cooked, using 2 forks, shred it up into bite-sized pieces, ready for your soup. A quick tip for you, if you're making your noodles in the same day, then make sure to rest your dough at room temperature. But if you're making your dough in advance, then I recommend placing it in your fridge overnight. If you have a machine, feel free to use it, but it really is easy to make noodles by hand. Your dough will be slightly sticky, so flour your board and roll it out. To begin with, I fold the dough in thirds, just like I would if I were using a machine, then roll it out until paper thin and I can see my hand through it. Lightly flour your dough so that when you fold it, it does not stick to itself. Then cut your noodles, whatever thickness you would like. Once cut, unfold the noodles again and dust them lightly with flour so that they don't stick together. Repeat this until you've used up all of your dough. In the intro, I said I'd show you 2 ways to make your chicken noodle soup. An easy way is to use the leftover casserole as a base. I removed the chicken, shred it up and place this back in the pan, and you'll also see I've cut up a few more vegetables. The casserole we made yesterday has a thicker consistency because we added some flour, so to thin it out for the soup today, I add some water and bring this to a boil. If you're wanting to make a chicken noodle soup from scratch, then just repeat the first recipe but don't add any flour. Fill out the soup, I add some more vegetables. The wonderful thing about using fresh noodles is that they only take 4 to 5 minutes to cook. So into your salted water, place your noodles and give them a quick stir so they don't stick to the bottom. Once they rise to the surface, you know that they are cooked. I add a little bit more of that chopped chicken we made earlier into our soup and then the noodles and give everything a good stir. If you don't want to make your own noodles, then just boil up some shop-bought noodles, but just remember they will need a little bit longer to cook. Don't forget to have a taste of your soup so that you can add any extra seasoning if needed. And a quick tip for you, I cut the noodles as this makes serving the soup a lot easier. Just like the chicken casserole with dumplings that we made in the first part of this video, this chicken noodle soup is also healthy and comforting. In fact, both of these recipes are not only delicious, but they're simple to make. As I say each week, please now go and have fun making and enjoying this with family and friends. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. God bless. Chop och ham nada.